Now, New York's #1 news. Channel 7 Eyewitness News this morning.
A stunning move just hours before the Obama presidency comes to an end. El Chapo, the notorious drug lord, extradited to New York. We're live in Brooklyn, where he will face a judge today.
But first, in about 6 hours, the 45th President of the United States will be sworn in. The stage is set this morning for the inauguration of Donald Trump. Hundreds of thousands of people making their way to D.C. for this historic moment.
Now, Mr. Trump spent the night at the Blair House in D.C. before the move into the White House. But the transition of power won't be so smooth. Over 60 protests are planned today.
We do have team coverage this morning, and we will be getting to that. Good morning. I'm Shirlene Ellicott.
And I'm Ken Rosado.
And I'm Lori Stokes here in Washington. As you said, Shirlene, just a few hours from now, and President-elect Donald Trump becomes President Donald Trump, the 45th of this nation. And by the way, New Yorkers will play a very prominent and key role in the festivities today. For example, Cardinal Timothy Dolan will offer scripture reading before the official swearing-in ceremony, and he'll have 1 minute to read. He'll also be touching upon the theme of wisdom. Cardinal Dolan, by the way, admitting that some people have criticized him for participating in the inauguration, but then he defends it, saying, quote, "Had Mrs. Clinton won and invited me, I would have been just as honored." Meanwhile, Donald Trump is getting ready for his big day ahead after a long night of celebrations here in the nation's capital.
We are going to make America great again, greater than ever before.
The West Wing will be in the hands of a few men and women. Pretty much the small crowd on stage election night.
All right.
There's Chief of Staff Reince Priebus.
Reince is really a star, and he is the hardest working guy.
The former Republican Party chairman rules over access to the Oval Office while working to keep Trump himself on message. Priebus, co-equal with Steve Bannon, Trump's chief strategist and senior counselor.
The key is to hold people accountable. The Hobbits or the deplorables had a great run in 16. Everybody mocked them and ridiculed them. And now they've spoken, and so I think 17 is going to be a very exciting year.
In a category all by himself, Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, official title, White House Senior Advisor. He is the man who helped push Trump through the darkest hours of the campaign.
I'd love to have Jared helping us on deals with other nations and see if we can do peace in the Middle East and other things.
Kellyanne. Campaign manager Kellyanne Conway, set to wield considerable influence, as will Trump's daughter Ivanka. Her official role yet to be determined. And it won't be just all celebrations, as some 60 different organizations have planned for protests. In fact, there was one last night when thousands came out right in Manhattan. And for that side of the story, we turn to Eyewitness News reporter Dre Clark, who is live at Trump Tower. Dre?
Well, good morning, Laura. We are expecting another day of protests and rallies here in New York City, some of them scheduled for later on today, including one later on this morning that will happen here in front of Trump Tower, even though Donald Trump is now long gone. But let's take a look at that big rally last night there in Midtown. Last night, thousands of people showed up for the We Stand United rally outside the Trump International Tower and Hotel on Central Park West. Mayor de Blasio, along with several Hollywood stars like Robert De Niro, Cher, Michael Moore, and Sally Field, all spoke to a very enthusiastic crowd last night. This was an opposition protest, a protest meant to send Donald Trump a message. That message is they are gearing up for a tough fight to make sure that the new president understands that issues like health care, climate control, social justice, and immigrant rights are very important to them, and he needs to take their concerns seriously.
A little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort, but a lot of work on our part will stop this man. He will not last the 4 years.
He has not shown even a spirit of trying to understand how most Americans feel.
I'm 70 years old. I've lived through 12 presidents. And never once did I dream that there would be one through arrogance and ignorance who could change our world.
And there will be protests happening throughout the weekend in the nation's capital. Early estimates have at least 400,000 people heading to the nation's capital to protest against Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Amtrak also reporting that most of their trains are sold out, heading from New York to D.C. Beginning this afternoon all the way through Saturday. So if you have plans on getting there by train, you may have to consider another way of travel because they're reporting everything is sold out. For now, we're live in Midtown. Dre Clark, Channel 7 Eyewitness News. Lori, we'll go back to you in D.C.
All right, Dre, thank you. And talking about a new day and everything that's going on right now, the inauguration, of course, headlines all over newspapers around the world. Taking a look at this right now, New York Daily News and the New York Post, both putting out identical front pages, both featuring pictures of President-elect Donald Trump and soon-to-be the First Lady Melania Trump in front of the Lincoln Memorial. The headline, both papers reading Dawn of a New Day. Well, speaking of Dawn of a New Day, as Dre was just talking about, sold out on Amtrak. Here in D.C., the security, I've never seen something like this before in my life. Our hotel is just about less than half a mile from where we're broadcasting from, and my photographer and I had to walk probably at least 25 blocks, plus take the metro. It is in lockdown, so if you're coming here at all, be prepared for that. Even people who have tickets and they were waiting to go into the red gate or the blue gate, we're still in a holding pattern, partly because of sweeps, but also because security, buses, metro buses are lining entire streets, dump trucks, front end to front end. It is a serious situation here in anticipation of Donald Trump's inauguration. We'll have much more coming up at 6 a.m. In fact, we're going to break down the schedule that's ahead for the president-elect of all the various events that are taking place. Also, going to hear what the president-elect had to say just hours before he is going to be sworn in. We'll have all of that straight ahead for you in the next half hour. For the meantime, reporting live from Washington, Lori Stokes, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Lori, thank you. At 5:36, and President Obama is spending his final hours in the White House, and he has written a letter to the American people saying goodbye. President Obama says that he wanted to say a final thank you before leaving his note in the Oval Office for President-elect Trump. He wrote, quote, "Because all that I've learned in my time in office, I've learned from you. You made me a better president, and you made me a better man." Well, from the swearing in to the parade and the parties, Eyewitness News and ABC News have you covered for the inauguration events all throughout the day. And we won't be just on TV. For a full schedule of events and details about the ceremony, you can also head to abc7ny.com. You can also find live streams of events and live cameras from all around Washington.
Encouraging news this morning about the health of former President George H.W. Bush and his wife Barbara. Both are showing signs of improvement. A spokesperson says the couple remains in the same hospital in Houston. Mr. Bush in intensive care suffering from pneumonia, but doctors may remove his breathing tube. Mrs. Bush is being treated for bronchitis, but said yesterday she feels 1,000% better.
You're never more than 7 minutes away from weather and traffic together here on Eyewitness News this morning. I'm meteorologist Bill Evans, and here we go. We got a temperature this morning right around 40 degrees. The humidity, the moderate range. The winds are east at 6. The pressure has been falling, and we're looking at what's going to be a very nice day. Starting out, we're going to have temperatures, that are above normal. Even Kingston, 36. That's above the normal average afternoon high, which is about 26 for this time of the year. 41 around Yonkers and around Norwalk. And we're looking on Long Island at 40 Iceland, 42 Montauk, and out toward the eastern end. Going to be a great day today. But if you are headed down to Washington, D.C., there'll be rain at noontime. A few showers this afternoon. We're talking about a couple of tenths of an inch of rain. Take your rain gear. We're looking at 49 degrees. We'll talk more about our weather for the weekend coming up next. Weather and traffic together every 7 minutes. It's weather. Then Heather, what's going on out there?
We're looking at the BQE right near Congress Street, and it looks like traffic is doing okay on the BQE. Let's head over to our maps. We'll talk about the A trains. They're running once again through Amsterdam Avenue, but you can expect residual delays. But Amsterdam Avenue is still closed both ways between 161st Street and 163rd Street, and that is because of that ongoing water main break. And then the Garden State Parkway had an accident south at 144. It was cleared. Street cleaning rules are in effect for today. Charlene, over to you.
Heather, thank you. And now to a developing story. Big news. Just hours before the inauguration, the notorious Mexican drug lord El Chapo has been extradited to New York City. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles is live in downtown Brooklyn with the very latest on this. Darla.
Good morning again, Charlene. The extradition came as a bit of a surprise, both to the U.S. and El Chapo Guzman. But yes, he is here, set to appear in federal court in Brooklyn today. But right now, he is being held at the Metropolitan Correctional Facility, which is a maximum security detention center in Lower Manhattan where terror suspects are held. Take a look at this photo of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman once he touched down on U.S. soil. He's under heavy guard and handcuffed. His plane arrived in Islip last night at MacArthur Airport around 10 o'clock, and then a motorcade transported him to Lower Manhattan. Now take a look at this video that's just in. This is when he was in that Mexican prison. Yesterday, his attorney went to visit him, and it was then and only then that El Chapo was told that he was being sent to the United States. Around the same time, federal agents here got the call from the Mexican government saying cross the Texas border near El Paso to pick El Chapo up. Now, El Chapo was first indicted in 2009 in New York, which has been updated 3 times. And this indictment includes accusations of distributing more than 450,000 kilos of coke and more than a dozen murders.
When most Americans think of organized crime, they naturally think of guys like John Gotti, Al Capone. They pale in comparison to Chapo Guzman.
Now, El Chapo has actually been indicted in 6 different U.S. cities, but he was selected to be tried here in Brooklyn first because this case, 2 federal prosecutors appear to have the fewest complications and the best potential witnesses. Again, El Chapo will appear here in downtown Brooklyn in federal court just after 10 o'clock this morning. Reporting live in downtown Brooklyn, Darla Miles, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
All right, Darla, thank you. It's 5:40, and we're following breaking news. A car crashes into a crowd in Australia. At least 3 people are dead. Why police say this was no accident.
Plus, a break in the search for the thief who stole $1 million worth of gold flakes in Manhattan. The manhunt ending thousands of miles away.